All right. Uh, Now, since we're talking about Amy's choice, and I did choose to call this blended reality, it makes me think about and those of you that don't know, I spent 19 years as a middle school teacher. I taught math and social studies. And unfortunately, dealing with middle school kids, they are temperamental, and they are just starting to figure out who they are as they transition from childhood to adulthood. And that can be made easier or harder depending on the people that they come across in their environment. So if they have a relatively good, supportive household and supportive teachers, it can make it easier to make that transition. But sometimes that's not the case. And I've had unfortunately, I've had many, but I had one student one time that she was a very, very sweet young lady. She didn't say a whole lot. She was pretty bright, um, but she had some issues at home, and she was a wallflower. She didn't have a lot of friends at school, and unfortunately, that made her a target for some of the popular kids, some of the bullies. And so anyone who knows anything about me knows that one of the things that I cannot stand are bullies. It's in my top three. My top three are bullies, liars, and thieves. Can't stand them. This particular young lady, she was being bullied, cyberbullied, by other kids, and they would talk about things about her clothes and how she smelled, her basic hygiene, how she did her hair, and things like that. Just ugly, ugly stuff. And it was addressed to the entire, not only my class, it was addressed to the entire grade, and then we kind of snowballed it into a thing for the entire school. The problem with that is that her voice got lost in it. It was this particular young lady who was having a problem, and it took on a life of its own. It's like now we're talking about it in general, and we're talking about everyone instead of talking about her specifically. It did not stop. She did come to me because I was one of the trusted teachers, that usually when I said stuff, I had a little bit of influence over the other kids, but it did not stop. And before seeking any other help, or maybe she just felt that seeking help from other people, it wasn't working, and we don't really know. She never left a note or anything. She chose to unalive herself. It was a particularly horrible day. Not only for staff, and it hit me very hard because she did come to me, and I tried to help, but sometimes it's hard to help when you don't know the full gamut. You don't know the full circumstance of what's going on, and you do the best you can with the information you have. One thing that we did find out was that the amount of cyberbullying led to a bit of self-loathing for her, and she really began to hate herself. And that's kind of where I want to go with this particular deep dive today, in Amy's choice.
Myself.
One of those weird things.
There we go. Are we live?
Yeah.
Are we up and running?
We are live.
It's a beautiful.
Hello, Governor.
Hello there, my guy. So far being in your neck of the woods, my guy.
This is nice, isn't it?
Oh man.
I do want to take this moment to say thank you to everyone who is joining us for this special live version of the deep dive. And just in case, so that everyone knows, everyone who is with us live, what you're seeing now, you will only see this one time. And if you want to see this again, or if anybody wants to see this again, you're going to have to go to my Patreon to see it as well. So they get to see the special version, which after I do my normal spiel, my normal deep dive, then I'm going to essentially cut the feed and drop a regular version on YouTube. But we're going to do a deeper dive where people from the Discord, people from my Patreon are going to join us on the stage, and we're going to all engage in a discussion around Amy's Choice, Season 5, Episode 7. So thank you to everyone who showed up today. In Amy's Choice, we have the doctor drop in on Amy and Rory, who are living in this idyllic village. They are married. Amy is pregnant. But things don't necessarily seem right. Something seems off. Rory has not only the worst mullet, but mullet ponytail known to man. It is horrendous. Like, the moment I saw it, my hand immediately formed, like where you have scissors in your hand, like it. I would cut that thing. Oh, it's bad. He looks disheveled too. He doesn't look his normal self. He just looks like it's bad. They're taking a little walk down through the village. No one is there. Something seems off. And then the overarching thing, the MacGuffin of this episode is that we hear the birds chirping. Birds start chirping, and they're sitting on a park bench, and they all go to sleep. Next thing that we know, they wake up on the TARDIS. And it quickly becomes apparent that they can't distinguish which one of these things is reality and which one is a dreamlike state. We quickly meet what is his name? What was his name, Centel? The Dream Lord?
The Dream Guy.
Yeah.
Yes. I can't think of his name off the top of my head.
Yes. Played, what was his name? Toby in real life.
The Dream Lord, played by Toby Jones.
Yes, Toby Jones. And for those who don't know, he was wonderful as, I always want to say it was Baron Zemo, but it's not Baron Zemo. He is...
He was the computer
Zola.
in the Marvel thing. Yeah.
Zola Arnar in Winter Soldier in the MCU. And he's been in plenty of things. If you see him, you know him immediately. Arnim Zola. Yes, Arnim Zola. Toby Stevens played this part to perfection. He was a Dream Lord, and he was essentially messing with not only the doctor, but Amy and Rory. And the thing was, he gave them a choice, an ultimatum. You had to choose which one of these two was reality. If not, then you would perish forever. The problem was that Rory and the doctor both could not distinguish not Rory, Amy and the doctor could not distinguish which one was real and which one was the fantasy. And it seemed very much the idyllic life. It seemed to turn out, that seemed like that was Rory's fantasy for himself and Amy. Because he's made it more than apparent here that he wanted her to kind of be away from the doctor. The doctor was the bringer of chaos. And we know this from previous seasons, that the doctor brings chaos and destruction and death with him wherever he goes. The one thing I liked about Toby Jones playing the Dream Lord is that the way he talked to the doctor so spicy, and he was giving it to the doctor, and it's like, listen, you can't do nothing with me. We said in our reaction, and if you've not seen the reaction, make sure that you go to Centel's page and watch the reaction. It'll be listed in the description. That he reminded us of Q from Star Trek. So anybody seen any Star Trek Next Generation? Star Trek.
Yeah, definitely.
He reminded me. Yeah, and he reminded me. And also in Picard a little. Anyway,
we don't talk about that.
Yes, it did happen. What, you don't want to talk about the Gerati Borg? Like, yeah, that. Anyway, it happened. Or Mr. Mxyzptlk from DC comics, where they're basically a other dimensional trickster, kind of what we think of as Loki in the Marvel universe. They do stuff for the hell of it. We also find in this episode that everyone in this little town that they're in are either a very small child or a very senior citizen. And it turns out there's at one point where the doctor and Amy and Rory are kind of walking through the town and they're about to get jumped by the AARP gang. And all of them are out there with their life alert bracelets. And the doctor turns and is like, wait a minute, y'all are not old people. And he notices that they are another race of aliens, that their world became uninhabitable. And they showed up here and took over people's bodies. Reminding me of V, like the little reptile people that jumped in people, or, body snatchers, things of that nature. Long story short, we go through the episode and certain things happen. The old people, the aliens, they jump on Rory and Amy and the doctor. When they're on the TARDIS, they are flying into a star, and instead of the star burning up, everything is getting cold to absolutely below freezing type temperature. So they're slowly dying that way. The other crazy thing is that back in Rory's world, he messes around and dies. And it sends Amy for a tailspin because she says, this cannot be reality because there can't be a reality without Rory in it for me. And I think that maybe he froze to death or whatever, but she notices and she's like, listen, I don't want to be in a reality without Rory, which is also very jarring because Rory has made mention of this. Like, it seems like she had never really told him that she loved him. She had never really expressed how she really felt to him, but he was completely head over heels in love with her. The doctor seems to figure out, he's like, you know what? I'm not playing the game anymore. Neither one of these is reality. And we have this thing. And one of the reasons why I picked up on self-loathing is that there was a conversation that Rory and Amy had right before she died. And she realized that some of the things that we always make mention of, give people their flowers now. Because a lot of people say wonderful things about you at your funeral. But what good does that do? You never said it while I was alive. Or you tell all these other people these wonderful things about me, but last time I saw you, you cussed me out and told me I was the worst person ever, or what have you. So you just, so you look good, or so you get your own bit of sympathy at the funeral, at the wake, you up here telling lies. But it made me think about Amy's particular case. Amy has been labeled as crazy since she was a little girl because no one believed her about her raggedy doctor. The doctor, when he shows up, he has a perception filter on himself sometimes and on the TARDIS. No one believed her. They made her think that she was crazy. And that being... Not only do you think these things about yourself, but when other people kind of magnify that, it does something to your psyche. And it changed how she felt about Rory, about the doctor, and about herself. So there is a quote that I love, and you guys know that I love my quotes. And actually, Centel, you can pop back in here at any time if you like, sir. And And like I said, when I get finished doing this, then those who have braved the unkind waters of this deep dive area will also pop in too, so that we can do a deeper dive discussion of this.
Okay.
A quote that I love is by Chuck. I can't ever say his last name. Palahniuk.
Chuck Palahniuk. Oh,
yes.
Fight Club.
And he says, yes, and he said, when we don't know who to hate, we hate ourselves. And I identify with that a bit. A lot of times when you have misplaced hurt, it helps determine your reality. Because a lot of times the way that you think about yourself, that determines your reality. I've told my kids this, and I've told other people close to me, if ever I am no longer of this mortal coil, do not ever, and I mean ever, believe where they say he unalived himself. No, I don't care. You call Horatio, you call Grissom, you call whoever you got to call. You call the people from Criminal Minds. You listen. An investigation needs to be done. I will not, and I mean this. You can't ever say that you would never do something. That's one of them. I will never. Two things that I guarantee for the life of me are a lie. No, these people out here in the world that's touching on little kids.
Okay.
Not never. Not never. And another one, and I have a list, but that one and unaliving myself.
Right.
Not never. I do happen to be spiritual. I happen to be, a Christian minister. And that one's a big no-no for me. But I think it's also a lot of times you're not hurt by the way that people think about you. You think you are, but you're not hurt by the way that people think about you. You're most hurt by how you think about yourself. And how other people think about you is also often a reflection of how you feel, how you think about yourself. When a person is in that state of distress, a lot of times, we think, they should call a hotline, call a number, because mental health is absolutely important. And we think that it's other people. If we could get other people to stop doing a certain thing, then maybe a person will feel better about themselves. But that's actually not how the brain works. It's not how it works. And a lot of that is spurred on by how you think about yourself.
Okay.
If you were to unalive yourself, everyone around you who loves you would be almost inconsolable. They would be distraught. But when you're in that place of hurt, you're not thinking about how other people think. You're not thinking about how other people feel. Remember, that is a reflection of how you feel about yourself. You're only thinking about how you feel. And a lot of it, what has been said, especially amongst the amount of teenagers that are unaliving themselves from the time I was teaching, was that they just wanted the pain to go away. They just wanted to stop hurting. And I absolutely wish that there was something that could make that pain go away. And in a very clever way that we saw it through Amy's Choice and some of the other episodes in this particular back half of the season, we saw kind of very viscerally what that effect does on a person, where you forget that they even existed. We saw Amy's pain, and a lot of times you don't get to see other people's pain play out in front of you. A lot of how people feel, that's played out in private. Every time she would involuntarily cry at something that reminded her of Rory. Just like in the And it's hurtful. And a lot of times, you can watch this show and be like, you know what, that doesn't really apply to my life. And that's why I picked up on the theme of the self-loathing, because what I thought, and I could be completely off base, is that she has been dragging along this baggage, this pain with her since she was a child, on how she felt about herself. And that made her distrust how she felt about other people. And that's why she couldn't bring herself to tell Roy how she felt about him, how much she loved him, because she wasn't even sure of how much she loved herself. I know this is a somber topic, and that's particularly the part that I keyed in on. All I can say to is I want to leave you with this, another quote from Sherry Huber. If you had a person in your life who treated you the way that you treat yourself, you would have gotten rid of them a long time ago. And I want everyone to kind of take that to heart. Only because once you realize that as little kids, you're taught, sticks and stones would break my bones, but words will never hurt me. And that's a lie. Words hurt. They absolutely hurt. But what we don't realize is not the words that other people say, it's the words that you say. What you say to yourself, what you believe about yourself are the words that hurt the most. You should be good to yourself. And once you can tune out, drown out the other people's noise, and learn to believe in yourself and that you are better, that you are stronger, that there is hope, that it will get better, you will start to get better. No, it's not easy. And it's not just something you can wake up one day and be like, you know what, I'm going to say these words to myself and it's going to get better. And as someone who has dealt with depression, as someone who is still dealing with it, there are many days when I have to wake up and do what I have to do. I have to pray. I have to meditate. I have to, say my own mantras to myself that, you are great. You are better than you think. You can do this. Some days it works. Some days it doesn't. And I am fortunate that I get to have a platform like this that, just allows me to run off at the mouth. And some people agree with what I say. Some people hate what I say. But I get to have people like Centel with me who encourage me, and people like my brother Chuck and the Geekish Network who encourage me to be my authentic self. And I try to bring that to each one of the deep dives that I share with you. And I wrestle with even doing this. There's a lot of times that I would like to just turn on the camera and say something personal and just share it with my Patreon people, share it with the Discord. And a lot of times I can't even bring myself to do it because I'm still wrestling with me every single day. Thank you, everyone, for showing up to this. We're about to transition into the deeper dive. Please like, comment, share this as much as possible. I am ridiculously close, which is hard to fathom, to have only really got into actually being a real content creator a few months ago, and to already be at almost 1,000 subscribers is kind of mind-blowing for me. And you see the YouTube videos of some people, hey, I did in 2 weeks. I did in 30 days. Listen, good on you, my guy. I didn't think I would be here. I didn't think there was 1,000 people that even wanted to hear anything I had to say. So it's encouraging. And if this is an avenue that you're into, only thing I can say is to do it, believe in yourself, and be consistent with it as much as you can. And by all means, if you have not subscribed, please subscribe. Put on my videos in the background because, even though you're getting something out of this one, at some point, and sometime I may have said something that you never heard. They're just like, oh, that makes great sense. I like what he said there. Or you'd be like, this guy's a clown. I ain't listening to shit else he got to say. I don't know. But as always, as I sign out for this particular part of it, you got to use this, but even more than that, you got to open up and you got to use this. All right.
Thank you, Chef.
Thank you.